We've seen how integers can be used for counting quantities of a certain type or for making certain types of measurements. In this video, we look at how integers can be represented on a number line. Let's start with an example. You want to measure the depth of a pond as part of managing an ecosystem. How can you use a number line to measure positions above and below the surface of the water? This integer number line shows the various depths of the pond, the surface of the water, and plants and rocks above the water. This part of the number line shows 3 feet below the surface of the water. This part shows 1 foot below the surface. 0 marks the surface of the water. And this shows 2 feet above the surface. Number lines are an effective tool for displaying integers and showing relationships among the numbers. Let's look more in depth at this number line. The horizontal line with arrows at each end indicates that the line extends to infinity, which means that there are an infinite number of integers. Each tick mark represents a unique integer. Here is 0, and all integers to the right are positive. All integers to the left are negative. Not only that, the numbers are in sequential order. This means that as you go from left to right, the numbers increase in value, and as you go from right to left, the numbers decrease in value. An integer number line is useful for graphing integers and better understanding the values they represent. Let's look at another example. The fish is 8 feet below the waterline, and the seagull is 12 feet above the waterline. Use an integer number line to show their relative positions. An integer number line can be used to graph the positions of different objects relative to a 0 point. Here is the 0 point of this number line. All tick marks to the left of this represent negative integers, and all tick marks to the right represent positive integers. Counting 8 tick marks to the left is -8, which represents the depth at which the fish can be found from the previous illustration. Similarly, counting 12 tick marks to the right is +12, which represents the altitude of the bird. Let's look at a final example. With this thermometer, each tick mark represents a change of 10 degrees Fahrenheit. The two temperatures that are highlighted are the low and high temperatures for the day. What are the temperature readings? You can think of a thermometer as a vertical number line, but we can orient it horizontally to make it look like an integer number line. Here is the horizontal version of the number line, with the points highlighted. Notice that we oriented it so that the negative values are to the left and the positive values are to the right of 0. This point is 2 tick marks to the left, but remember each tick mark represents 10 degrees, so this mark represents -20 degrees Fahrenheit. This point is 3 tick marks to the right of 0, so this represents 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can see how integer number lines are very useful for representing integer values, measurements, and data. These number lines can be horizontal or vertical. For horizontal number lines, negative values are to the left of 0. For vertical number lines, negative values are below 0.